In the previous class, we have studied gravitational potential energy, and we have derived the expression for the gravitational potential energy. One note we should remember, the gravitational potential energy at infinity is taken as 0. There is one more point at which Earth's gravitational potential energy is taken as 0. So that is on the surface of the Earth. So therefore, at 2 points, we are taking Earth's gravitational potential energy is 0. That is one point, it is at infinity, and the another point, if the point object is on the surface of the Earth. In those two cases, the gravitational potential energy is taken as 0. Now today we will study another concept of escape speed. Now we are already familiar with that one in the introduction part. Whenever an object is thrown upwards, it falls down. If you throw any object, irrespective of its mass, it falls down. So it's falling down with a constant acceleration. That is, we call it as acceleration due to gravity, g. Now, is it possible for any object to move away from the Earth's gravitational pull? That was the question. We know that every object which is thrown upwards is attracted by the gravitational force, Earth's gravitation, and it is falling back, falling back, falling back. If you throw with a lower speed, it rises to a minimum height and falls down. If we increase the speed, initial speed of the throw, then the height is also going to increases. But finally, it falls down to the Earth once again. Is it possible for any object to move away from the Earth's surface? If it is possible, then what is the minimum speed required for that object to move away from the gravitational pull? And that minimum speed we required for an object to move away from the gravitational pull is called escape speed.
Hence, the minimum speed required for any object to escape from the Earth's gravitational pull, we call it as escape speed. Now we are going to obtain the expression for what is the minimum speed required for an object to move away from the Earth's gravitational pull. Okay, for that one, now consider the Earth. Now see that of mass m and radius is r. Radius of the Earth is. Okay. Now consider an object which is initially at a certain height h from the Earth's surface. An object of mass small m. Okay. Now what is the total distance of that object from the center of the Earth? That is Re plus h. Now it is thrown upwards. This object is thrown upwards with an initial speed of Vi. Vi stands for the initial speed. Now we have to obtain what is the minimum speed required to pull out of the gravitational attraction. That can be derived based on the principle of conservation of mechanical energy. The conservation of mechanical energy. That is, mechanical energy before that object is thrown is equal to, that is initial mechanical energy, final mechanical energy. In other words, sum of the kinetic energy plus potential energy in the beginning, that is initial, is equal to sum of the kinetic energy and potential energy in the final stage. Now here object is thrown with an initial velocity Vi. Let us assume that it reaches infinity with a velocity Vf. It reaches infinity with a velocity Vf. Vf is the final velocity. Now, what is the initial kinetic energy of that point mass? It is given by half m Vi square. It is the initial kinetic energy. Similarly, what is the initial potential energy? Let me write it as Ui. You know the formula for potential energy? Minus G me, mass of the earth, into m divided by the distance. It is Re plus h. Now this is the initial kinetic energy of the point mass or an object which is going to be thrown with an initial velocity vi. Now at this particular height, now this point mass possesses a potential energy and is given by this formula minus G me m divided by Re plus h. Then what is the initial total mechanical energy? The initial total mechanical energy Vi, it should be equal to sum of these two, Ki plus Ui, that is half m Vi square minus, so G me, mass of the earth, into mass of the object divided by distance of that object from the center of the earth. Now this is the initial energy, mechanical energy, sum of kinetic energy and potential energy of that system. Now object is thrown with initial velocity vi. We are assuming that it reaches an infinity with a final velocity vf. Now the final kinetic energy kf is equal to half into m vf square, where vf is the final velocity of that point object. Then what is the final potential energy? UF. Since we are considering object is reaching infinity, at infinity the potential energy is taken as 0, as earlier we said. Therefore, total final energy, that is kinetic energy plus potential energy, is half m vf square. Now this is total initial energy and total final energy. Since gravitational force is a conservative force, this total energy is also conserved. Therefore, Ei, it should be equal to Ef. Now what is that Ei? Now that is half m Vi square minus G me m divided by Re plus h. This is the initial energy. It should be equal to final energy. It is half m Vf square. This is one part. Okay. Now our aim is to calculate Vi. Now right hand side is simply having half m Vf square. Since we are having Vf square, the right hand side is a positive quantity. What is the minimum value of right hand side? That is 0. Right hand side is a positive quantity, our minimum value is 0. That means it is just released, object is released from the Earth's gravitational pull. Therefore, if we take final velocity is to be 0, therefore, then what is the minimum requirement? Minimum velocity required is the left hand side term should be minimum only when the right hand side term should be equal to 0. So therefore, the minimum speed required Vi square, it should be minimum minus G me m divided by Re plus h. Now this term should be equal to 0 because we are calculating Vi minimum. Now this term left hand side should be minimum if and only if the right hand side term should be equal to 0. Now rearranging the terms, we will get square minimum is equal to, I will take this term to the right hand side. So me m divided by Re plus h. Now look here, small m get cancels. Therefore, we are in need of this one, vi square minimum. It should be equal to, I am getting 2g me divided by re plus h, or vi minimum is equal to under square root 2g me divided by re plus h. It is the final expression for minimum speed required for any object to move away from the Earth's gravitational pull, and this minimum speed is called escape speed. Now this is the final expression. Vi minimum is equal to square root of 2g me divided by re plus h. Now let us assume that this point mass is thrown from the surface of the Earth. So initially we have considered the point mass is at a particular height h. Now the point object is thrown from the surface of the Earth. Then obviously h is equal to 0. Therefore vi minimum is equal to square root of 2g me divided by re. In the previous class we have obtained the relation between small letter g and capital letter g. That is, small letter g is equal to capital letter G into me divided by re square. That relation we have studied. So from that one we can write g into re is equal to g me divided by re. Therefore, I am replacing g capital Me divided by re by g into re. So therefore, vi minimum. In some textbooks, instead of writing vi minimum, they are using ve. E stands for escape speed. So is equal to square root of 2g into re. We know that g, acceleration due to gravity, 9.8. re, radius of the Earth, it is 6,400 kilometers. If you substitute those two values and simplify, for the case of Earth, I am getting the minimum speed is 11.2 kilometer per second. The minimum speed required for any object to overcome the gravitational pull of the Earth, is 11.2 kilometer per second. Now look here in these two expressions. If you look here, now it is depending on g, constant, me, mass of the Earth, re is the radius. Now all are constants. It is not depending on the mass of the object. Therefore, escape speed is independent of mass of the object which is thrown upwards. For all objects, the minimum speed required is 11.2 km per second. If any of
the escape speed for the case of Earth is 11.2 km per second. The same formula holds good for any celestial body. If I consider the moon, the escapes, we can easily work out escape speed for moon, that is vi minimum is equal to square root of 2g re, same formula. But there we have to substitute g, the acceleration due to gravity of not Earth, it is the acceleration due to gravity of moon. And instead of re, we have to replace it by rm, radius of the moon. If you substitute those values, for the case of moon, we are getting the escape speed is 2.3 kilometer per second. It is almost 5 times lesser compared to that of the Earth. Because of this very low escape speed, there is no atmosphere present in the moon. ಸೊ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಸ್ಕೇಪ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಬಹಳ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಮೂನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಟ್ಮಾಸ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಒಂದ್ ವೇಳೆ ನಾವೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏರ್ ಅನ್ನ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ನಾವು ಗ್ಯಾಸಿಯಸ್ ಮಾಲಿಕ್ಯೂಲ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಹೇಳಾದ್ರೆ but thus gaseous molecules which are formed, they are easily escaped from the moon because of very low escape speed. So that is regarding the escape speed. So similarly, other planets are having larger and larger escape speeds. For example, Jupiter, for the case of Jupiter, it is having the heavier mass, speed is higher. If you take the case of a sun, the speed is still higher. If you take the case of a galaxy, in a galaxy or in a universe, if you observe a black hole, in that case, the escape speed, I think it becomes infinity. That means why we call it as black hole? Because even light cannot come out from that black hole object. That's why it looks black. That is regarding escape speed. Next concept, Earth satellites. What is a satellite? An object which is revolving around any planet. An object which is revolving around any planet is called satellite. So similarly, Earth satellite means an object revolving around the Earth. Because of the gravitational pull of the Earth, it is revolving in a circular orbit. And that object we call it as Earth satellite. Now Earth has only one natural satellite, that is Moon. Moon is the only one natural satellite. It is revolving around the Earth. Now this Moon takes nearly 27.3 days. days to go once around the Earth. And also it takes same number of time to rotate about its own axis. Because of these two rotations are equal, that is rotation about its axis and revolution around the Earth, both are equal. Because of this reason, we are always observing only one face of the Moon. We can see only one face of the Moon because these two, period of rotation and period of revolution around the Earth, both are equal. Now, from 1957, man-made satellites were sent into the space. They are called as artificial satellites. Russia first sent the first artificial satellite, later onwards all other countries including India, they are sending artificial satellites which are revolving in a particular orbit. Okay. Now here we are going to study what is the orbital speed for a satellite to revolve in a circular orbit. Orbital speed ಎಷ್ಟು ಇರಬೇಕು, ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಬಿಟಲ್ ಸುತ್ತಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ಹೈಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆರ್ಬಿಟಲ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಎಷ್ಟು ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಫೈಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಡೆರಿವೇಶನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ನಾವು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ನೌ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರ್ ದಿ ಅರ್ತ್ ಒನ್ಸ್ ಅಗೇನ್. Earth of mass me, now radius is re. Okay, now consider in a satellite of mass small letter m, which is at a height h from the surface of the Earth. Now it is circulating in, it is revolving in a circular orbit. It is revolving in a circular orbit. Now we have to calculate what is the orbital speed. That is v. V is the orbital speed of that satellite. Now since this satellite of mass m is revolving with a speed v in the circular path, obviously that is having a centripetal force. I will write this as Fc, centripetal force required for an object or that the satellite to revolve in a circular orbit is given by, we have already derived this one, it is m, mass of that satellite, v square, the speed with which it is revolving, divided by radius of the circular orbit. Now, what is the radius of the circular orbit? It is radius of the Earth plus height h, that is Re plus h. Now, this is the centripetal force necessary for any object to revolve in a circular orbit. Here, this is the centripetal force necessary for that satellite to revolve in that circular orbit. Then who is going to provide this centripetal force? Centripetal force ಬೇಕು ನಮಗೆ circular orbital move ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಕೊಡೋನು ಯಾರು? Who is supplying this one? The gravitational force of attraction between the Earth and that satellite is providing the centripetal force. Therefore, the gravitational force, I will write it as Fg between the two is, so G, me, mass of the Earth, and small m, mass of the satellite, divided by square of the distance. Now here is also, here it is Re plus h whole square. Now this is the centripetal force necessary for an object to move, that for that satellite to move in a circular orbit. Our centripetal force on a kodone yaru, it is the gravitational force between the Earth and the satellite. That is given by this relation G me m divided by Re plus h whole square. Now at equilibrium, these two are equal. Fc is equal to Fg. Now equating the equations, that is m v square divided by Re plus h. That should be is equal to this equation. G me m divided by Re plus h whole square. Now look here, the small m get cancels. Re plus h, 1 Re plus h cancels. Therefore, what is v square then? This is the orbital speed with which the satellite is revolving in the circular orbit. G me divided by Re plus h, or the orbital speed is given by under square root G me divided by Re plus h. Now this is the expression for orbital speed of any object which is revolving around the Earth. Now look here, G is the gravitational constant, me mass of the Earth is also constant, Re radius of the Earth is also constant. Therefore, only variable is h, that is height of the satellite from the surface of the Earth. As h increases, the orbital speed goes on decreases. That means if the satellite is very nearer to the Earth's surface, it has to move faster and faster. If the satellite is far away from the Earth's surface, it is revolving with a smaller or lesser speed. Really, that is the meaning. Now, if we consider this satellite is very close, it is very close to the surface of the Earth. That is, h is very much smaller compared to the radius of the Earth. Radius of the Earth compare ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ height smaller ಆಯ್ತು ಹೇಳಾತೆ. So we will assume that h is equal to 0. h is 0 ಅಂತ consider ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ, then what is the expression for the orbital speed? V is equal to under square root of, that is G me divided by Re. Okay, that is the relation because h is 0. And we are familiar with this relation between small g and capital G. That is, G is equal to capital G me divided by Re square. Okay, so therefore taking one Re on that side and substituting here, therefore the orbital speed is given by G into Re. This is the orbital speed. In the previous class, we have derived the expression for escape speed, that is Vi minimum is equal to square root of 2 into G into R into E. Now this is the orbital speed, this is the escape speed. So root of g into re, I will write in that this is v. Therefore, the relation between the escape speed and orbital speed is equal to square root of 2 into v. ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಬುಕ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿ ಬರೀತಾರೆ ಇದನ್ನ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಎಸ್ಕೇಪ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ವಿ ಅಂತ ಕರೆದು ರೂಟ್ 2 ಟೈಮ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ಬಿಟಲ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ ಅನ್ನ ವಿ ನಾಟ್ ಅಂತಂದು ಬರೀತಾರೆ. VO stands for orbital speed and VE stands for escape speed. So escape speed ಗೂ orbital speed ಗೂ relation ಏನು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ escape speed VE is equal to root 2 times the orbital speed V naught. Now this is true for satellites revolving very closer to the earth surface, that is h is taken to be 0. In that cases this holds good. But if as you move above the earth surface, the orbital speed it goes on changing, decreases. Okay. Now let me take the time taken for one revolution as capital T. It is time period of revolution of the satellite. If T, capital T is the time period of revolution, we know the relation time period is equal to distance traveled divided by the speed. Our speed is equal to distance divided by time. Our relation prakara, now we are going to calculate time period. Now time period is equal to T is equal to, so time taken to go once around the earth surface. Now what is the distance traveled in circular path? It is nothing but circumference of the circle, that is 2 pi r. Now here it is 2 pi r. What is the radius of that circular orbit in which the satellite is revolving? It is nothing but re plus h. Now here it is re plus h divided by the orbital speed v. Now you should substitute this orbital speed v here. Now t is equal to 2 pi re plus h divided by square root of gme divided by re plus h. Now this square root of re plus h, which is in the denominator, it goes to the numerator. So therefore I am getting, so t is equal to 2 pi divided by root of gme. Now this root of re plus h is going to the numerator. Therefore it becomes re plus h to the power 1 plus re into re plus h to the power half. Re plus h to the power 1 into re plus h to the power half. It becomes re plus h to the power of 3 by 2. That is power 1 plus half, it is 3 by 2. Now that is the expression for period. Period of any orbital satellite. So if you know the height, we can easily work out what is the time required to go once around the earth. Now if you square the period, I am getting 4 pi square divided by g into me, okay, becomes re plus h cube. If I take this as some constant, 4 pi square divided by gme is some constant, therefore we are getting t square proportional to re plus h whole cube. Now this is nothing but Kepler's third law, that is law of period. What does Kepler's third law says? The square of period of revolution of a planet around the sun is directly proportional to cube of the semi-major axis. So here re plus h is considered as a semi-major axis. So that is the law of period. So like this we are going to calculate the orbital speed of the satellite as well as the time period of revolution of the